Hello everyone, welcome to your supplementary lecture for CIN 635, and this lecture shall be your final lecture for this semester. To begin off, first of all, we shall look at SMS. SMS, or short message service, is the most basic communications technology for mobile data transfer and is characterized by the exchange of short alphanumeric text messages between digital line and mobile devices. SMS messaging's key influential factor is affordability. SMS message hold up to 140 bytes or 1,120 bits of data, which allows a 160 character alphanumeric message in the default 7-bit alphabet, or a 70 character message in a non-Latin such as Chinese language. SMS is also known as text messaging. SMS messages are also sent via web-based browser applications, instant messages, IM, applications, and voice over internet protocol VoIP applications such as Skype. A SMS message is sent from a device to a short message service center, which in turn communicates with mobile networks to determine the subscriber's location. Then the message is forwarded as a small data packet to the destination device. Subsequent messages sent by the original source device undergo the same process, also known as store and forward. SMS streamlines communication on many levels, such as quick communication, brief updates between family and friends, alerts, such as voicemail, sales lead inquiries, appointments, meetings, or deliveries, enhanced messaging service, which facilitates ringtone, image, and simple media transfer. SMS adoption continues to expand globally since the first SMS message was sent in 1992 via Vodafone's GSM network. Over 2.4 billion users, or near percent of mobile subscribers, use SMS. The SMS boom generated sweeping commercial market success. According to International Telecommunications Union, the SMS industry achieved a global worth of 81 billion as of 2006. In 2008, approximately 4 trillion SMS messages were transmitted worldwide. MMS, also known as Multimedia Messaging Service, it is a standard way to send messages that include multimedia content to and from a mobile phone over a cellular network. Users and providers may refer to such a message as text or PXT, a picture message, or a multimedia message. The MMS standard extends the core SMS capability, allowing the exchange of text messages greater than 160 characters in length. Unlike text-only SMS, MMS can deliver a variety of multimedia, including up to 40 seconds of video, one image, a slideshow of multiple images, or audio. The most common use involves sending photographs from camera-equipped handsets. Media companies have utilized MMS on a commercial basis as a method of delivering news and entertainment content, and retailers have deployed it as a tool for delivering scannable coupon codes, product images, videos, and other information. GPRS, General Packet Radio Service, is a packet-oriented mobile data standard on the 2G and 3G cellular communication networks, global system for mobile communications. GPRS was established by European Telecommunication Standards Institute. It is now maintained by the Third Generation Partnership Project. Services offered in GPRS extends the GSM packet circuit switch data capabilities and makes the following services available: SMS messages and broadcasting, always on internet access, multimedia messaging service, push to talk over cellular, that is POC, instant messaging and presence, wireless village, internet applications for smart devices through wireless application protocol, web, point-to-point service, internet working with the internet, and point to multi-point, P2M service, point to multi-point multicast, and point to multi-point group calls. If SMS over GPRS is used and SMS transmission speed is about 30 SMS message per minute may be achieved. This is much faster than the using of the ordinary SMS over GSM, whose SMS transmission speed is about 6 to 10 SMS messages per minute. Introduction to mobile phone sensors. Mobile phone sensors are of different types for different functions that make it smartphone. Although there are different types of sensors in a smartphone, here we will focus on only the major and most important ones and their function. Accelerometer. Accelerometer sensor is in a smartphone can detect tilt or orientation of the phone. It can also detect vibration and acceleration. It is basically this sensor that helps to determine whether the phone is in portrait or landscape orientation. This sensor can also detect if the display of the phone is in upward or downward position. It also detects movement of the phone in any given direction. Air humidity sensor. As the name suggests, this sensor can measure humidity in air. This data can be used in several useful ways. The humidity sensor is a device that senses, measures, and reports the relative humidity of air or determines the amount of water vapor present in gas mixture or air or pure gas. Ambient light sensors. This sensor detects the light or brightness to automatically adjust brightness of the display. It is used when we put our phone into auto brightness mode. Barcode or QR code sensors. This sensor detects the light or brightness to automatically adjust brightness of the display, while at the same time, what this sensor does is scans any available code and QR code on a particular object or on a particular paper or onto another screen. Barometer sensor. This sensor can measure air pressure that can be useful in several ways, such as studying weather and altitude change. Only high-end and expensive phones have these sensors. Fingerprint sensors. The fingerprint sensor has become very common in most modern mobile phones. It is generally used at the back of the smartphone and sometimes in the front bottom. Some manufacturers have also started to install it in display itself. The fingerprint sensor can read and store biometric data of our fingers and can be used to unlock the phone, thus replacing the use of any password or pattern. GPS sensor. GPS or global positioning system is also very common and popular in most modern phones. It helps to locate location on Earth and helps in navigation. Popular services like Ola, Uber, Zomato, and Swiggy use GPS features. Gyroscope. The gyroscope can detect orientation, rotation, and direction of the phone very precisely. Many popular gaming apps use these features of the gyroscope sensor. Hall sensor. The Hall sensor can detect magnetic field. This feature is used to sleep and wake the phone when a sleep cover is used. When a flip cover is used, pardon me. Magnetometer. The magnetometer is what acts as the compass in our smartphone. This sensor detects magnetic fields and can easily determine the direction of the North Pole. It can also detect metals. Therefore, the magnetometer is used in maps, compass, navigation maps, and metal detector apps. Proximity sensor. The proximity sensor can detect distance on the phone from our skin or any other object. This feature is used to disable the touchscreen when we receive a phone call and the phone is held near to our ear. Thermometer. The thermometer in a smartphone monitors the temperature of the device and the battery. It is used to display the temperature of the device and environment. It is also used to shut down the device in case of overheating to prevent any damage. Touchscreen sensors. The touchscreen sensor is used to input data in the phone. History of Android. From its inaugural release to today, Android has transformed visually, conceptually, and functionally. Time and time again, Google's operating system may have started out scrappy, but oh boy, has it ever evolved. Here's a fast-paced tour of Android version highlights from the platform's birth to present. Android versions 1.0 to 1.1, the early days. Android made its official public debut in 2008 with Android 1.0, a release so ancient it didn't even have a cute code name. Things were pretty basic back then, but the software did include a suite of early Google apps like Gmail, Maps, Calendar, and YouTube, all of which were integrated into the operating system. A stark contrast to the more easily updatable standalone app model employed today. Android version 1.5, Cupcake. With early 2009's Android 1.5 Cupcake release, the tradition of Android versions names was born. Cupcake introduced numerous refinements to the Android interface, including the first on-screen keyboard, something that would be necessary as phones moved away from the once ubiquitous physical keyboard model. Cupcake also brought about the framework for third-party app widgets, which would quickly turn into one of the Android's most distinguishing elements, and it provided the platform's first ever option for video conferencing. Android version 1.6 Donut. Android 1.6 Donut rolled into the world in the fall of 2009. Donut filled in some important holes in Android's center, including the ability for the operating system to operate on a variety of different screen sizes and resolutions, a factor that will be critical in the years to come. It also added support for SDMA networks like Verizon, which would play a key role in Android's imminent explosion. Android versions 2.0 and 2.1 Eclair. Keeping up the breakneck release pace of Android's early years, Android 2.0 Eclair emerged just weeks after Donut. Its one-point update, also called Eclair, came out a couple months later. Eclair was the first Android release to enter mainstream consciousness thanks to the original Motorola Droid phone and the massive Verizon-led marketing campaign surrounding it. The release's most transformative element was the addition of sound-guided turn-by-turn navigation and real-time traffic info, something previously unheard of in the smartphone world. Navigation aside, Eclair brought live wallpapers to Android as well as the platform's first speech-to-text function, and it made waves for injecting the once iOS-exclusive pinch-to-zoom capability into Android, a move often seen as the spark that ignited Apple's long-lasting thermonuclear war against Google. Android version 2.2 Froyo. Just 4 months after 2.1 arrived, and Google stepped up Android 2.2 Froyo, which revolved largely around under-the-hood performance improvements. Froyo did deliver some important front-facing features, though, including the addition of the now standard clock at the bottom of the phone screen, as well as the first incarnation of voice actions, which allowed you to perform basic functions like getting directions and making notes by tapping an icon and then speaking a command. Notably, Froyo also brought support for Flash to Android's web browser, an option that was significant both because of the widespread use of Flash at the time and because of Apple's adamant stance against supporting it on its own mobile devices. Apple would eventually win, of course, and Flash would become far less common, but back when it was still everywhere, being able to access the full web without any black holes was a genuine advantage only Android could offer. Android version 2.3, Gingerbread. Android's first true visual identity started coming into focus with 2010's Gingerbread release. Bright green had long been the color of Android's robot mascot, and with Gingerbread, it became an integral part of the Android's appearance. Black and green seeped all over the user interface as Android started its slow march towards distinctive design. 2011's Honeycomb, which was released with Android 3.0 and 3.2, period was a weird time for Android. Android 3.0 came into the world as a tablet-only release to accompany the launch of Motorola Xoom, and through the subsequent 3.1 and 3.2 updates. It remained a tablet-exclusive entity. Under the guidance of newly arrived design chief Matthias Duarte, Honeycomb introduced a dramatically reimagined user interface for Android. It had a space-like holographic design that traded the platform's trademark green for blue and placed an emphasis on making the most of a tablet's screen space. While the concept of the tablet-specific interface didn't last long, many of Honeycomb's ideas laid the groundwork for the Android we know today. The software was the first to use on-screen buttons for Android's main navigation commands. It marked the beginning of the end for the permanent overflow menu buttons, and it introduced the concept of a card-like user interface with its take on the recent apps list. Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich. With Honeycomb acting as a bridge from old to new, Ice Cream Sandwich, also released in 2011, served as a platform's official entry into the era of modern design. The release refined the visual concepts introduced with Honeycomb and reunited tablets and phones with a single unified user interface vision. The Ice Cream Sandwich dropped much of Honeycomb's holographic appearance but kept its use of blue as a system-wide highlight, and it carried over core system elements like on-screen buttons and a card-like appearance for app switching. Android 4.0 also made swiping a more integral method of getting around the operating system, with then the revolutionary filling ability to swiping away things like notifications and recent apps. And it also started the slow process of bringing a standardized design framework known as Holo all throughout the operating system and into Android's app ecosystem. Android versions 4.1 to 4.3, Jelly Bean. Spread across three impactful Android versions, 2012 and 13's Jelly Bean releases took Ice Cream Sandwich's fresh foundation and made meaningful strides in fine-tuning and building upon it. The releases added plenty of poise and polish into the operating system and went a long way into making Android more inviting for the average user. Visuals aside, Jelly Bean brought about our first taste of Google Now, a spectacular predictive intelligence utility that sadly since devolved into a glorified newsfeed. It gave us expandable and interactive notifications, an expanded voice search system, and a more advanced system for displaying search results in general with a focus on card-based results that attempted to answer questions directly. Multi-user support also came into play, albeit on tablets only at this time, and an early version of Android's quick settings panel made its appearance. Jelly Bean ushered into the heavily hyped system for placing widgets on your lock screen to one that, like so many Android features over the years, quietly disappeared a couple years later. Android version 4.4 KitKat. Late 2013's KitKat release marked the end of Android's dark era, as the blacks of Gingerbread and the blues of the Honeycomb finally made their way out of the operating system. Lighter backgrounds and more neutral highlights took their places with a transparent status bar and white icons, giving the operating system a more contemporary appearance. Android 4.4 also saw the first version of OK Google support, but in KitKat, the hands-free activation prompt worked only when the screen was already on and you were either at your home screen or inside the Google app. The release was Google's first foray into claiming a full panel of the home screen for its services too, at least for users of its own Nexus phones and those who chose to download its first ever standalone launcher. Android versions 5.0 and 5.1 Lollipop. Google essentially reinvented Android again with its Android 5.0 Lollipop release in the fall of 2014. Lollipop launched the still present today material design system standard, which brought a whole new look that extended across all of Android, its apps, and even other Google products. The card-based concept that had been scattered throughout Android became a core user interface pattern, one that would guide the appearance of everything from notifications, which now showed up on the lock screen for, at a glance, access to the recent apps list, which took on an unabashedly card-based appearance. Lollipop introduced a slew of new features into Android, including truly hands-free voice control via the OK Google command, support for multi-users on phones, and a priority mode for better notification management. It changed so much, unfortunately, that it also introduced a bunch of troubling bugs, many of which wouldn't be fully ironed out until the following year's 5.1 release. Android version 6.0 Marshmallow. In the grand scheme of things, 2015's Marshmallow was a fairly minor Android release, one that seemed more like a 0.1 level update than anything deserving of a full number bump. But it started the trend of Google releasing one major Android version per year, and that version always receiving its own whole number. Marshmallow's most attention-grabbing element was a screen search feature called Now on Tap, something that, as I said at that time, had tons of potential that wasn't fully tapped. Google never quite perfected the system and ended up quietly retiring its brand and moving it out of the forefront the following year. Android 6.0 introduced some stuff with lasting impact, though including more granular app permissions, support for fingerprint readers, and support for USB Type-C. Android's version 7.0 and 7.1 Nougat. Google's 2016 Android Nougat releases provided Android with a native split screen mode, a new bundled by app system for organizing notifications, and a data saver feature. Nougat added some smaller but still significant features to, like an Alt-Tab-like shortcut for snapping between apps. Perhaps most pivotal among Nougat enhancements, however, was the launch of the Google Assistant, which came along the announcement of Google's first fully self-made phone, the Pixel, about 2 months after Nougat's debut. The Assistant would go on to become a critical component of Android and most other Google products and is arguably the company's foremost effort today. Android version 8.0 and 8.1 Oreo. Android Oreo added a variety of niceties to the platform, including a native picture-in-picture mode, a notification snoozing option, and notification channels that would offer fine control over how apps can alert you. The 2017 release also included some noteworthy elements that furthered Google's goal of aligning Android and Chrome OS and improving the experience of using Android apps on Chromebooks, and it was the first Android version to feature Project Treble, an ambitious effort to create a modular base for Android's code with the hope of making it easier for device makers to provide timely software updates. Android 9 Pie. The freshly baked scent of Android Pie, aka Android 9, wafted into the Android ecosystem in August of 2018. Pie's most transformative change was its hybrid gesture or button navigation system, which traded Android's traditional back, home, and overview keys for a large multifunctional home button and a small back button that appeared alongside it as needed. Pi included some noteworthy productivity features too, such as a universal suggested reply system for messaging notifications, a new dashboard for digital well-being controls, and more intelligent systems for power and screen brightness management. And of course, there was no shortage of smaller but still significant enhancements hidden throughout Pi's filling, including a smarter way to handle Wi-Fi hotspots, a welcome twist to Android's battery saver mode, and a variety of privacy and security enhancements. Android version 10. Google released Android 10, the first Android version to shed its letter and be known simply by a number with no dessert themes moniker attached in September of 2019. Most noticeably, the software brought about a totally reimagined interface for Android gestures. This time, doing away the tappable back button together and relying on a completely swipe-driven approach to navigation to system navigation. Android 10 packed plenty of other quietly important improvements, including an updated permissions system with more granular control over location data, along with a new system-wide dark theme, a new destruction limited focus mode, and a new on-demand live captioning system for any actively playing media. Android 11. Android 11 launched at the September of 2020 is a pretty substantial Android update both under the hood and on the surface. The version's most significant changes revolved around privacy. The update builds upon the expanded permissions system introduced in Android 10 and adds in the ability for users to grant apps certain permissions, those relating to location access, camera access, and microphone access only on a limited single-use basis. Android 11 also pushes the background location permission even deeper into the system and makes it more difficult for apps to request and thus less likely for users to activate inadvertently. And it introduces a new feature in which apps that have gone unopened for a matter of months will automatically have their permissions revoked unless you actively opt to reauthorize them. Beyond that, Android 11 removes an app's ability to see what other apps are installed on your phone, something that was actually possible up till this release, and it limits the way apps are able to interact with your local storage in order to better protect your information. Importantly, but invisibly, Android 11 more than doubles the number of once operating systems bundle elements that now exist as their own standalone modules. Like apps in the Play Store, basically, and thus can be updated directly by Google, frequently and universally, and without the need for any carrier or manufacturer involvement. And as for the more visible user-facing features, Android 11 refines the system notification area to emphasize and simplify conversation-related alerts. It introduces a new streamlined media player that contains controls for all audio and video playing apps in a single space. And it adds in a new contextual menu of connected device controls for any smart products associated with your account. Android 11 has plenty of other small but significant improvements, including a new notification history section, a native screen recording function, and an automated scheduling system for the system-wide dark theme. Android version 12. Google officially launched the final version of Android 12 in October 2021 and started rolling this software out of its own Pixel devices soon after, alongside the launch of its new Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro phones. In a twist from the last several Android versions, the most significant progressions with Android 12 are mostly on the surface. Android 12 features the biggest reimagining of Android's interface since 2014's Android 5.0 Lollipop version. That version, as we discussed a moment ago, was the first to showcase Google's then new material design standard. And this one is the first to integrate an updated and completely overhauled take on that standard, something known as Material U. Material U brings a dramatically different look and feel of the entire Android experience. And it isn't limited only to system level elements either. Eventually, Android 12's design principles will stretch into both apps on your phone and Google services on the web. The same principles will show up on Chromebooks, smart displays, and Google associated wearables as well. And since a huge part of the Material concept is allowing you to customize the palette and other specifics of the interface's appearance, even having your phones generate dynamic personalized themes for you on the fly based on the colors of your phone's wallpaper at any given time, and changes run deep and will absolutely be noticeable. Notably, most of Material U's most meaningful design advancements will likely be available only on Google's own Pixel phones, at least to start. After years of having third-party device makers muck around with the Android interface and introduce all sorts of arbitrary change for the sake of change, Google finally seems to be embracing the fact that its own Android design choices are not going to be universal, and in doing so, is turning the limited availability of that interface and everything around it into a Pixel feature instead of a Google liability. Android version 3. The first official sign of Android 13 arrived in Feb 2010-2020 when Google announced the inaugural developer preview of its latest Android version. So far, there really isn't a heck lot of to say about Android 13, at least officially. As is typically the case with these early developer previews, the software in its current form is more of a skeleton than anything and present mostly just to let developers and device makers start interacting with the new under the hood changes and getting their own creations ready. With that in mind, the biggest features in Android 13 so far include an updated photo picker that allows apps to access specific images and videos without requiring permission to view all of your media files, and an improved quick settings setup that makes it easier to find and add new tile options. It seems safe to say that's all just a drop in the ocean of what Android 13 will ultimately represent. And already numerous leaks and analysis suggest there's plenty more to the story. Most notably, Google seems to be cooking up a whole new system for Android tablets that'll let devices double as multi-purpose, multi-user display when they're docked, with easy access to shared resources and a new and improved personal profile system. Combined with the also under development Android 12L feature drop and increment update of Android 12 that's mostly about adding in a bunch of overdue optimizations for making Android work better on big screen devices. This strongly suggests a key theme for 2022 will be creating a better and perhaps somewhat differentiated experience on both Android tablets and folding phones. Google's planning to release a new series of developer previews and betas between now and July, with a final stable Android 13 launch expected somewhere in the late summer or early months of fall. That is somewhere near October and November. Thank you for listening, everyone. So this finishes all the lectures for CI in 635. Thank you for your patience and thank you for your attentive ears throughout the semester.